I punished my stepdaughter for calling me out after I cheated on her mom. I threw away her food, banned her from my kitchen, and tried to teach her respect. Instead, I destroyed my family. Everyone left me, and now I hate what I've become. I know exactly what kind of man this post makes me look like. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm misunderstood, or that the internet will see some tragic nuance that my family refuses to acknowledge. I'm a 45-year-old man who cheated on his wife and then punished her daughter when she had every right to call me out. I destroyed my family with my own hands. No one else did it. No excuses. People always talk about affairs like they're sudden, like you trip into someone, like it's some lightning strike. That's not how it happened. It happened because I was weak and selfish and angry at my own life. Laura and I had been in a rough patch for months. Money stress, work stress, fights about stupid things that built up into something bigger. Nights where we barely spoke, mornings where we acted like roommates instead of spouses. I told myself all the usual lies. It's just emotional. It's just a friendship. I deserve to feel wanted. She doesn't understand me. Those lies build a bridge straight to hell. The woman I cheated with was a co-worker. I'm not giving her a name because she's not the point, and I'm not shifting blame. It was one night, one mistake, one choice that I made with both eyes open, and instead of admitting it, instead of giving Laura the honesty she deserved, I tried to bury it. That was mistake number 2. The lying, the pretending, the gaslighting, the covering my tracks. The months of walking around our home acting like nothing had happened while carrying a loaded gun under my shirt, waiting for it to go off. Laura figured it out 3 months later. I wasn't even careful. She saw messages when I left my phone charging in the kitchen. She walked into the bedroom holding it like a piece of evidence. She didn't scream. She didn't throw anything. Her voice didn't even shake. She just said, "So this is what you've been doing instead of fixing our marriage." Something in her face broke that night. But she didn't leave. Not right away. She said she needed time. She said she had to think about what this meant for Sophie, her daughter from her first marriage, 16, sharp as a knife, loyal to a fault, and allergic to bullshit. I'd been in her life since she was 8. I taught her how to ride a bike, how to grill burgers, how to change a tire. She used to call me her second parent, and I blew that up too. Sophie found out about the affair a week later. I don't know how. Maybe she overheard. Maybe Laura told her. Maybe the universe wanted me to face what I'd done. She confronted me in the living room. Laura was there. It was after school. Sophie walked in, threw her backpack down, looked me dead in the eye, and said, "You disgust me." I said her name, tried to calm her down, tried to say something that would make the moment less catastrophic. She didn't let me. She kept going. She said I was a liar. She said I ruined her mom. She said, "You're not my dad, and now you never will be." It felt like she stabbed me straight through the ribs. But here's the part that makes me sickest now. That moment wasn't when I broke. That moment was when my anger started growing. Not because she was wrong, but because she was right. Because hearing the truth from a kid I helped raise felt like being stripped naked in public. After that, Sophie stopped talking to me. She'd walk past me without looking at me. She slammed doors. She shut herself in her room. She refused to eat with us. She talked to Laura in whispers. She wouldn't ride in the same car as me. She made it brutally clear that I wasn't family. I told myself she was being disrespectful. I told myself she was testing boundaries, that she needed consequences. But what she needed was space to be hurt. What she needed was 2 adults to handle their marriage problems like adults instead of like idiots. But I took it personally. Every slammed door felt like an attack. Every ignored question felt like defiance. Every rolled eye hit me like a reminder of my own shame. And one night, I snapped. It was a normal weekday. Laura was working late. Sophie made pasta for herself. I walked into the kitchen and said we needed to talk. She didn't answer. She just kept plating her food. I told her she needed to stop acting like a brat. She laughed under her breath and muttered, "Maybe stop acting like a cheater." Something inside me flipped. I walked over, grabbed her plate out of her hands, and dumped it straight into the trash. She froze like she couldn't believe what she was seeing. I told her she wasn't allowed to touch anything in my kitchen until she learned some respect. She shouted that it wasn't my kitchen. I told her she was grounded, that she would eat only what Laura made, that she was banned from using anything I bought or paid for. It wasn't discipline, it was revenge. It was a man trying to prove he wasn't powerless. She locked herself in her room. I could hear her crying. And even then, I told myself it was necessary. Laura came home 2 hours later, and Sophie told her everything before I even opened my mouth. Laura didn't yell. She didn't argue. She walked straight past me, went upstairs, packed a bag, grabbed Sophie, and walked out the door. She told me, "You didn't just cheat on me, you broke her, and I won't let you hurt her again." She was gone by midnight. I haven't seen them since, except once, weeks later, when she came to pick up the rest of her things. She didn't look at me. Sophie stayed in the car. The silence in this house is a punishment I earned. I've tried reaching out, not to beg them back, I know better than that, but to apologize. Laura doesn't respond. Sophie blocked me everywhere. I've been in therapy for 2 months now. My therapist said the thing I didn't want to hear, that my anger toward Sophie was guilt turned outward, that every time she reminded me of what I did, I punished her for it. I treated a hurt kid like an enemy. I used power to silence the truth. I wanted to win the argument more than I wanted to save the relationship. I don't blame them for leaving. I wouldn't come back either. I'm writing this because I don't know who I am anymore, and I hate the version of myself that surfaced during all of this. I thought I was a decent stepfather, a flawed husband, sure, but not cruel. But when the moment came to prove who I really was, I chose cruelty. I chose control. I chose the worst parts of myself. I wanted to teach her respect, but I only taught her why she should never respect me again. Update 1. I wrote the original post, and I thought the silence from Laura and Sophie was already the worst this situation could get. I was wrong. The real blow didn't come from them. It came from the envelope taped to my front door 2 Mondays ago. Thick legal paper inside, my name typed neatly across the top like some kind of sick birthday card. It was the divorce filing. No conversation, no warning, no, "we need to talk." Just a lawyer's signature and the phrase, "irretrievable breakdown due to emotional cruelty." I stood in my hallway reading that sentence over and over until the words stopped making sense. Emotional cruelty, not infidelity, not marital issues, not irreconcilable differences. Emotional cruelty. That part was about Sophie, and she wasn't wrong. I didn't cry, I didn't yell, I didn't punch a wall. I just sat on the stairs like someone had unplugged my entire nervous system. It's one thing to know you hurt people. It's another thing to see it printed in black and white, stamped by a court, filed away like a record of who you are. I didn't call Laura's lawyer. I didn't fight anything. I didn't even tell them I needed time. I signed the acknowledgement papers and mailed them back. That same night, I didn't think about strategy or money or the house. I just knew she wanted out, and I refused to trap her here any longer. The next day, my therapist asked how I felt. I wanted to say devastated or confused, but the truth is, I felt sick, physically sick, like someone filled me with wet cement. She told me this was the natural consequence of avoiding accountability for months, and I hated her for saying it even though she was right. She's been saying a lot of things I hate lately. She told me the way I treated Sophie wasn't discipline. It was punishment rooted in guilt. She said every time Sophie showed her pain, I reacted with control because I didn't want to face the damage I caused. She said I projected my shame onto a teenage girl because she was the only person in the house who didn't try to hide how much she despised what I did. I sat there with my arms crossed like a child being scolded. I almost walked out of the session, but I stayed, and for once, I didn't argue, because she's right, and hearing that truth feels like swallowing nails. 2 days after the divorce papers came, I heard from Laura's sister, Maggie. We haven't spoken directly since everything went down, but she called out of the blue and I answered because I thought for a split second that maybe it meant Laura was ready to talk. No, not even close. Maggie told me that Sophie refuses to even say my name now. She refers to me as my mom's ex. That's it. Like I'm just some guy who passed through their lives instead of someone who tucked her in at night for years. Someone who packed her lunches and showed up to school plays and helped her practice for math tests. Maggie said Sophie told her friends the whole story too. Not in a dramatic way, not looking for pity, just the facts. My mom's ex cheated. Then he tried to bully me for calling him out. I swear I felt something inside me cave in when she said that. I know kids exaggerate sometimes, but she didn't this time. She told the truth in the simplest way possible, and hearing it said so plainly made everything feel 10 times more real. Later that night, I sat down and wrote Sophie a letter. I didn't plan to send it. My therapist encouraged me to write things out. Instead of letting them rot in my head, I wrote 4 pages, telling her she was right to be angry, that I was wrong, that I was cruel, that she didn't deserve any of the fallout from my decisions, that she had every right to protect her mother, that if she never wanted to see me again, I understood. I folded the letter and put it in the top drawer of my desk where it can't reach her, and it can't reach the trash either. I don't know what to do with it yet. I wrote one for Laura the next night. That one turned into 6 pages. I didn't even realize how much I needed to say until the words started pouring out of me. It wasn't begging or manipulation or "I miss you." It was just the truth. I broke our marriage long before the affair. I ignored her needs. I built walls. I lashed out. I lied. I tried to control things when I felt insecure. I punished people instead of confronting my own failures. The cheating wasn't the accident. It was the symptom. I didn't send that letter either. I don't think she wants anything from me anymore. Last week, Laura's lawyer emailed me again, this time about the house. We both owned it, but she wants to sell and take her share to start fresh somewhere else. I didn't argue. I said yes. I told them they could pick the realtor, pick the price, pick the timeline. I just wanted to make it easy for her. The house doesn't feel like a home anymore anyway. It feels like a museum of everything I ruined. Sophie's old art is still taped to the fridge. A watercolor of our dog she made when she was 9. A project about the solar system where she misspelled Jupiter, and we laughed about it for months. Laura's throw blanket still sits draped over the couch, even though it doesn't smell like her anymore. The kitchen feels like a crime scene. I can't walk into that room without remembering the sound of Sophie's plate hitting the trash. I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I weaponized a kitchen against a child. Last Thursday, Laura came to pick up the last boxes of Sophie's stuff. I made sure I wasn't home. I labeled everything neatly. Books, clothes, school projects, sketches, earbuds, jewelry. I found a photo of us from a camping trip years ago tucked into one of her notebooks. Me, Laura, and Sophie roasting marshmallows. And I placed it in the box even though it felt like someone stabbed me. When I got home, there was a note on the counter. Not from Laura. I know her handwriting. It was printed, probably typed on a phone. Sophie doesn't want you to contact her. Please respect that. Just that. No goodbye. No thank you. No signature. I stood there reading it over and over until I realized I was holding it too tightly and crumpling the paper. I haven't tried to contact her since. Yesterday, I spent the whole afternoon at the youth shelter where I started volunteering. My therapist said I need to stop trying to fix my guilt with apologies and start doing something productive with it. One of the girls there reminds me so much of Sophie. It's painful, sarcastic, guarded, sharp-tongued, but observant. She doesn't trust anyone. She snapped at me 3 times before I even finished sorting the donation bins. And every time, I felt that same reflex I felt with Sophie, that tightening in my chest that used to turn into anger. But I stopped it. I listened. I walked away. I tried again later. I'm not trying to replace Sophie. I know I can't. I'm just trying to break the habits that turned me into the man who threw away a kid's dinner to make a point. Final update. It's been 4 months since my last update, and I'm writing this from a small 1-bedroom apartment that smells like dust and new paint. It feels temporary. Even though I signed a lease for a year, I still wake up expecting to hear Sophie's footsteps upstairs, or Laura humming while she makes coffee. I expect a life that isn't mine anymore. The divorce finalized 8 weeks ago. I walked into the courthouse with a knot in my stomach and walked out feeling like someone had scooped out the center of my chest. Laura didn't come. Her lawyer handled everything. I didn't try to look for her afterward. I wouldn't have wanted to hear anything she said, and she wouldn't have wanted to hear anything from me. It was cleaner that way. I handed over my half of the house without a fight. She kept the furniture. She kept the family photos. She kept the dog. Honestly, she should have. I didn't want to poison any of it with my presence. I moved out the same week the papers were signed. Sold my car because it reminded me too much of driving Sophie to school, sitting silently next to a kid who used to talk my ear off these days. I take the bus or walk. It's strange, but it makes me feel grounded. I think I need grounding more than comfort. I changed my phone number, not out of spite, not to disappear. I changed it because I was becoming addicted to the idea of reaching out, over and over, in moments of weakness, imagining texting Laura some long message, or calling Sophie just to hear her breathe before hanging up. I knew that would only hurt them again, so I cut myself off. A self-imposed barrier. I don't get points for it. It was necessary. The apartment is quiet in a way that doesn't feel peaceful, more like someone turned down the volume on life. I have a small table, a bed, 1 sofa, and a desk. I didn't take anything from the old house except clothes and toiletries. Starting from zero felt like the closest thing to honesty. I go to therapy twice a week. My therapist is tough. She doesn't let me romanticize what I did or rewrite it. She doesn't let me drift into self-pity either. Whenever I try to talk about losing my family, she stops me and says, "You didn't lose them. You broke the trust that held them to you." It stings every time, but I need it. She pushed me into joining a men's accountability group, a circle of guys who all did something that hurt people. Affairs, anger issues, emotional manipulation, alcohol-fueled fights. The first meeting, I almost walked right back out. Listening to them talk felt like listening to a distorted version of myself. Some were worse, some were similar. All of them were trying to figure out who they were now that the mask had come off. The first time I spoke, I told them I cheated on my wife and punished her kid for reacting like a human being. One guy nodded slowly and said, "Yeah, that'll do it." No judgment, just recognition. It was the first time in a long time I felt like someone wasn't lying to make me feel better or sugarcoating the truth. I stopped drinking. Completely. No more just one to take the edge off. No more whiskey in the evenings when the apartment feels too empty. If I drink now, I know exactly who I'll become again. I don't trust myself enough to let that happen. The volunteering has continued. I go twice a week to the youth shelter. The kids there don't know my story. They just know I show up. I don't try to act like some savior. I sweep floors, help with homework, unpack donation boxes, fix shelves. Some of the teens ignore me, some glare at me, some warm up after a while. There's a girl there, different from Sophie in appearance, but so similar in spirit, sharp, defensive, loyal to her mom in a way that would make Sophie proud. She doesn't talk to me much, but she watches everything. She notices if I'm late. She notices if I'm quiet. Last week, she told me my haircut looked weird. I laughed, and she rolled her eyes like I'd said something ridiculous. I don't see her as a replacement. I'm not trying to build some redemption story where I parent other people's kids. She's a reminder, a mirror proof that the version of me who punished Sophie cannot exist again. I owe the world more than apologies. I owe it change. Now for the part I've been avoiding, I saw Sophie. Not planned, not arranged, just the universe giving me a moment I wasn't sure I deserved. I was at the grocery store buying instant noodles and bread. I turned into the produce aisle and froze so hard I knocked over a stack of apples. She was standing there with Laura, arguing about what pasta to buy. Her hair was shorter than before. She looked older. Not physically, more like she'd been forced to grow up faster. She saw me first. Her eyes locked onto mine. For a second, everything, the anger, the hurt, the betrayal, flashed in her face like someone flipping through pages of a book too fast to read, and then she turned away. Not dramatically, not with hate, just decisively. Like she was closing a door she'd already shut months ago. I didn't approach. I didn't call her name. I didn't force some emotional meltdown in the pasta aisle. I picked up the apples and left the store without buying anything. When I got home, I sat on the floor and stared at the wall for an hour. Not crying, not shaking, just feeling that moment settle like a stone in my chest. She doesn't owe me her forgiveness. If anything, the distance was her setting a boundary, a healthy one, a necessary one. The next day, I opened the letters folder on my desk, the one where I keep everything I've written but never sent. I read through all of them, and for the first time, I didn't feel tempted to send any. They aren't for Laura or Sophie. They're for me. Reminders of what I did and what I refused to become again. But lately, the letters have changed. They're not pleas or arguments. They're notes about what I'm learning, how to sit with guilt without lashing out, how to accept consequences without expecting reward, how to make choices that don't come from fear or pride. I'll never be the man I thought I was before all this. That illusion is gone, but I'm trying to be someone who could have handled that confrontation with Sophie like a parent instead of a wounded animal. Last night, I wrote something that feels like the closest thing to truth I've reached since this began. I'm not trying to get them back. I'm trying to become someone who would never lose them in the first place. Sophie might never speak to me again. Laura might never forgive me. I won't pretend that doesn't hurt. It guts me every day. But I understand why, and because I understand it, I refuse to repeat the patterns that destroyed everything. I'm not a victim. I'm not misunderstood. I'm not seeking sympathy. I'm rebuilding. From nothing. From the rubble I made with my own hands. The closing line of my last update still stands, but it hits differently now. I tried to force respect through fear. I thought control was love. Now I know love is the opposite. It's making yourself someone people feel safe being honest with, even when that honesty is about how deeply you hurt them.